Hello, friends. It is my honor to bring a fantastic guest today in my podcast. A man with vision, a man with dedication, a man with a lot of to share with us. A story of not only success but the courage. My guest today is Eran Baniel, and I am very happy to introduce Eran in my podcast, P Talks. And Eran has a wonderful venture. But the meaningful thing is that this venture was started by an innovation, and the innovation was done by his father, Abraham Baniel. And he invented a type of sugar in the age of 95, 96. Trust me, after 30 years when a normal person get retired. And he not only invented it, but he started a startup to produce it on a commercial level. And now Aaron and his wonderful father both are looking into that venture, and it is a successful venture. Good to have you, Aaron. Hello.
Hi, happy to be here. Thanks for taking time to talk to me. Very exciting. And thanks for the kind words.
Now the player whole mine.
Shared.
So, coming back to the story, Aaron, what was the background? How did your father think of inventing kind of sugar, and why he was pushed in the age of 95, 96 to do so?
So I'll start with the last bit of the question. My father needed no pushing. He was a constant innovator, curious, always in search of science, new inventions, talented people. So that's my father in general. This specific story is quite extraordinary because it started, the quest, the search started right after the Second World War. There were no sugar to be had in Palestine. Or if there were some, they were rationed. And so my father at the time was a research chemist in paint factory, making paints for the maintenance of the British Navy during the war and just after the war. And one day, the wife of a colleague of his came into the lab and said, Abram, I need your help. And he said, okay, what's wrong? And she said, you know, I'm a teacher in elementary school, and we have a huge problem with the young kids. They are restless, nervous, aggressive, unhappy. And when we ask them what's going on, why can't you sit down and listen to the teacher? They say they crave sweetness, they crave sugar. My father said, I don't have any sugar to give you. And she said, oh, I don't want sugar. What I want from you is that you go to the British, you make the paints for them, and you ask the British for some starch. And my father said, what do you need the starch for? And she said to my father, you know, when you add starch to water, you get a sort of a pudding, thick pudding, viscous solution. And you then take a little sugar and you feel very sweet, although sugar was really very little. So my father got her the starch, and they made this pudding like. And she took a little paper which she unfolded, and there was some sugar crystals in the paper, and she emptied it into the so-called pudding, and they stirred. And my father tasted it, and he said, that was funny, because this starch like pudding was sweet. Not terribly sweet, but sweet. He said, I ought to remember this. And life took him on, and he went on to do other things and became one of Israel's most senior research scientists, a professor, twice PhD, etc. And years later, he was a consultant to Tate and Lyle president. And as such, he was asked to assist in the making of sucralose. Sucralose is made from sugar, but is an artificial sweetener. And when they made the sucralose, they were hoping that the taste would be better than other sweeteners, and then people will consume it, replacing sugar. But the disappointment was huge. Yes, sucralose came to the market. Yes, it sells, but really marginally. Because children, young people, most people do not accept the flavor, the taste of sucralose as being equal to sugar. So about 60 years later, uh, around the age of 87, 90, he was a consultant to the president of Tate and Lyle, one of the largest sweeteners companies in the world, British by origin, but international. Um, and he was on the team that commercialized the sucralose. Sucralose is an artificial sweetener made from sugar through a complex chemical process. And the hope was that the sucralose taste would make it more attractive to young people, to all people, as a possible replacement for sugar. But that didn't happen. Sucralose sells, but really only marginally. It's artificial. People don't want artificial, and kids don't like the taste. So it was then that my father remembered the teacher that came to him. And he started making experiments in the kitchen because he was no longer running a laboratory. And he almost burnt the kitchen. So one day I got a phone call from the lady that was assisting in the house, and she said, come quick, your father is burning the kitchen. And I came to Jerusalem and I said, Father, what is going on? And he said, I have this idea of making from sugar that is perceived as sweeter. And I said, okay, that's interesting. Listen, I will take you to a professional lab that I will rent for you. And you make the experiments not in your kitchen, but in a professional lab. And let's see what happens. So he went and did some experiments. And around the age of, I believe he was 95 or something, uh, he called me and said, I have some yogurts with this sugar. And so I said, okay. And I made a meeting at the innovation uh, department of Israel's largest food producer. And we went there and they tasted it and they liked it. And then I said, can you please tell me how important this is? And they said, listen, Eran, in food, there are two big problems. One is sugar, the other is salt.
Right.
Whoever will manage one or both is king. So the next day, I went to the Ministry of Justice and registered DouxMatok, and we started our journey.
Like a prince, because your father was a king.
Yeah. And this Saturday, we celebrated his 103rd birthday.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's very amazing. And by the way, we'll come back on the topic, but still, I want to recognize your part in this whole innovation and things, that you left your successful career as a director, right?
Yes, one day I was at the time the artistic director of the Jerusalem Khan Theater, like a Han. And it's a very old theater, old building, Jerusalem stones, you know, but a young company. And the mayor, he called me and he said, Bani, what do I pay you in the theater? And I said, Mr. Mayor, not much. And he said, you know, Bani, you like talented people and you are very good in raising funds. You should move from the theater to high tech. Your banker will be happier, and so will your wife be happier. And the reason was that in the year prior to this meeting, I had a dream of many years. The dream started when I worked in the Akko Festival. I was the director of the Akko Festival. And Akko, you may know, is a mixed Arab-Jewish town in the north of Israel, one of the oldest towns, almost entirely conserved from the Middle Ages. And that festival, for the first time, a play directed by an Arab Palestinian citizen of Israel, from Nazareth, Fuad Awad, won the first prize. And when he won the first, I said to him, listen, Fuad, gift to you will be that we together will take Juliet. You will take the Montague with Romeo. I'll take the Capulets with Juliet. And we'll make the first ever co-production between Palestine and Israel. And the co-production of Romeo and Juliet. Well, it took a few years, and the Oslo peace accords, and he told me, listen, there is no money, so we need to find money for the Palestinian actors. So I raised almost $1 million. And for the first time, a Palestinian theater paid Palestinian contracts, paid well Palestinian actors, a wonderful Palestinian company called the Al-Kasaba Theater, and my theater and their theater together made this co-production that played first in the no man's land between East and West Jerusalem, and then in Lille in France, and then in Paris for 3 weeks, and then in Bergen in Norway, and Zurich in Switzerland, and it was a huge success.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Unfortunately, after I couldn't go back to normal theater. It was so passionate, so really different experience, that when the mayor came to me and said, let me offer you the first idea for startup, I took it with both my hands, and that's started my second career, my career as an entrepreneur. And there, like in the theater, I did some successes, yes, a few failures too, really nicely fitting the statistics of successful versus failed startups. So that's a little bit the story.
That's very impressive. That's very impressive. And by the way, coming back to your entrepreneurial experience, let me ask you a question: that what is your annual turnover right now?
Well, DouxMatok
DouxMatok.
has, that's the name of the company, by the way. Doux in French,
Okay.
Matok in Hebrew is sweet.
Okay.
Doux in Hebrew is double, so sweet, or double sweet.
Okay.
That's the meaning of the name DouxMatok. Now, DouxMatok is these last few months moving from research company into a commercial company. So you can find products with DouxMatok inside with incredible sugar. That's how we branded our sugar, with incredible sugar inside in every supermarket in Israel.
Wow.
Because of the corona, it slowed us elsewhere in the world. We launched in the United States a few months ago, and we are building now the sales as the days go by. So the turnover is a startup turnover.
Okay.
And we count the projects more than we count the dollars. We'll start counting the dollars soon. And yeah,
Hopefully.
absolutely.
So how big the infrastructure right now in a startup, like, but you are still producing it on commercial level and different companies are using your product in their products. So how big the infrastructure right now you are having? How many people are working in your project?
So we've got Israel
Hmm.
and the US together, 40 people, 40.
Wow.
And we make our sugars, we produce our sugars with the largest sugar refiner in Canada. The name is Lantic Sugar. And they are great partners of us. And that's how we make the sugar.
And is it the whole product is based on chemicals, or you use natural ingredients in it? Like usually in Pakistan, they make sugar with sugar can or.
Yeah. So first of all, it's natural.
Okay.
It's 99% cane sugar.
Okay.
We put the sugar molecules on a carrier, like a sponge in the bathroom. Think about your bathroom. You have a sponge. You put the sponge in water, right? Yeah. It sucks a lot of water. We use minerals or proteins like a sponge. They suck up a lot of sugar crystal, sugar syrup. Then when we go into Lantic's crystallizers, those clusters of sugar, they completely deformate the structure of the normal sugar crystal that looks like a diamond, you know. And when they do this, two things happen. When you put it in a cake, as an example, you get one of those clusters, tongue, it dissolves faster into your saliva. So you are led to taste more sugar than actually there is in the cake. So if I give you a piece of cake, you bite, take a bite, you chew, and then you swallow. You chew only very small proportion of the sugar in the bite has time to dissolve. Most of the sugar will not have the time to dissolve, and it goes directly where you don't want it, your stomach, your digestive system. So we change proportion, and by doing so, you need less sugar.
Right.
But it's sugar, it's what is called clean label. It is not chemical, nothing. It's what you call green chemistry, meaning it's friendly, sustainable, and most importantly, great. It makes people happy because they can take a bite of a cake and not feel guilty about it.
That's right. That's right. And let me ask you that what is the price difference between normal sugar and this DouxMatok?
I'm talking credo sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah. if you compare sweetness to sweetness, okay, you can take out half of the sugar, gain half of the cost of your sugar.
Right.
Half of the cost of your sugar goes towards the DouxMatok. So you end up with the same sweetness costing the same price.
That's right. So in total, if we uh, calculate with the proportion of weight and price, so it is double in the price when we compare it in weight, but in sweetness it is same.
Yeah,
Like,
because you only use half.
yeah, yeah, and it damages you half, or
Any damages you have.
that's
And it can even be taken further. Because let's take chocolate. In chocolate, milk chocolate, you have about 50% is okay. We take half out. Now, what do you bring in? So our sugar is half in volume
yes,
or weight, but you need to
yeah,
bring something else
yeah,
to bulk it up, as they say. We have developed a second source of knowledge, which is how to rebulk with the same taste, but with healthier materials, like fibers,
yeah,
like plant-based proteins. So on the one hand, you have half the
yeah,
sugar. On the end, DouxMatok will come to you and say, you know something there, you can actually make this biscuit healthier, better for you, touching the taste, the satisfaction. Do so by adding this, that, and we do this work for free. Because most companies, they don't know how to cut the sugar. It doesn't taste good, and people don't like it, and it doesn't really help at all. So at DouxMatok, you get the wonderful experience of sugar. We all like sweet things. And you get a silent bulk, which is taking care of your fiber and genes at the same time. So that's the beauty.
that's amazing, that's wonderful. And what do you think about the, like, I am living in Pakistan, neighboring with India and China, Bangladesh. You know, half of the world's population is living in my continent, around me.
First of all, the problem of overconsumption of sugar in India, at least. I know less about Pakistan, but the problem in India is huge. And India, number 2 producer of sugar in the world, which makes it very abundant and ready to use. And think of Indian delicacies that are many of them very sweet, very, very. So when about us, at least 1/3 of the inbound requests came from India. And we are now about to raise our next round of financing. And we are looking at India, and Indian companies are coming to us. They want to be part of this. That is India. Where it comes to Pakistan, when I got this phone call from Shiri, and she said, there's this guy in Pakistan, Per, he wants to interview you for his program. Would you accept it? I said, of course I will. I want to meet him. For us, Pakistan is, I would say, a sort of a dream. It is the greatest privilege to be invited to talk on a podcast to people I would love to visit, to be able to talk to.
Inshallah, one day you will.
Inshallah.
And we, trust me, aside of the political issues, Pakistan is such a vibrant society, such a colorful society, such a diverse society. You would, as a director and as a person who lived his life with arts and performing arts, you would love to visit Pakistan. You would love to explore the folk culture, the poetry, the dances, the musical instruments, the theater going on inside Pakistan. We are very good in filmmaking. We are very good. We are not as good as Indians are good in filmmaking, but we are a growing nation with the skills. And we are definitely too good with the drama making and the TV serial making. We are exceptionally good. The craftsmen here, with their pen, with their vocal strengths, with their musical sense, they are excellent, and you would love to visit. And beside that, we are equally a sugar intaking nation. We without sweets, there is no lunch, dinner is complete in Pakistan. There is no hospitality to guests without any sweet dish or anything from sweets, from cookies. Every table you will find something which is very relevant with your product.
And I'm ashamed to say that my Pakistani culinary experience were all in London. So I would love to experience it, and would love if there is someone listening to this interested to send us a brief describing biscuit, what have you, okay? And telling us what he would like to get, where he would like to get with it. Let's say half the sugar, 1/3 less sugar. We will for sure put a team on that to crack this and come up with something which would sweeten even the political realities between Pakistan and Israel, because the only way to do really major, to make major changes is people.
Yeah.
And that's my only talent. The talent of working with people, talking to people, sharing with people, listening to people, and especially talented people. And managing talents is wonderful. You know that. And I'll tell you something, artists and scientists and scientists are very similar. They are very centric. They are very spoiled. They are very. They need the the cherry. They need the honey. They need the harsh words. They are magnificent. They are terrible. They are childish. They are geniuses. And if you like that, if you like to be with people and 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 try and take them where they are at their best, then you are magnificently rewarded. And and that is what I've been trying to do probably most of my life. I am next 76 and I work 16 hours a day, something like that. Enjoy every moment and intend to continue until somebody stops me.
That's wonderful. And Aaron, it was a wonderful talking to you. And I hope to continue not only these talks on this level of our podcast, but I wish and I'm sure somebody who is listening this podcast from the business community in Pakistan, because we are importing a lot of sugar from outside to Pakistan nowadays. And this was presently a challenge for our government to meet the requirements of sugar inside the country. So I am sure if the business community, someone out of business community is listening to this podcast, they will avail this opportunity, not only bring in the more healthy sugar inside the country, but also develop a good business connection with a country where we should have good and positive connections to uh, foreseek for the future uh, a peaceful future. And this is I believe that this is duty of people like me and you to bridge the nations who are generally not
Yes.
in conflict but politically are far away. So as we don't have any conflicts, direct conflicts with each other, and just the political slogans are taking us far away from one another. So people like you and me, if we are trying, I'm sure one day we will be bridging the gaps, and
Thank you.
that day will come soon, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you, Per. Thank you for taking time and you for doing what you're doing. And stay in touch. I promise I will.
Thank you, Aaron, and may God bless you. Talk to you soon, inshallah.